Hey, everybody. It is the Schick Show Wednesday edition with our friend Steve Hurd. It's Steve Hurd Wednesday on Wednesday.
Is. And he dies right at the final gas station before he's able to get off onto off the turnpike. Which, as soon as you get off the turnpike, there's 5 empty Tesla chargers, but this Kia does not accept a Tesla charger, so he can't use it. So we thinking, all right, we'll just grab a generator and we'll plug you in. We'll get you enough to get you back to the guy's house, and we'll be good to go. We plug in this generator, and that EV is not going anywhere.
That's right. It doesn't.
I mean, not. So then we find a plug-in on the wall of this gas station that's on the turnpike, and we're hanging out. We're there for like 2 hours, and it gets him 1 mile.
In 2 hours?
2 hours, 1 mile
right there.
Well, I'll get to that. So we're like, dude, what is going on? So we started looking, finding YouTube videos about this car. It takes 24 hours to charge that thing using a 110 outlet to get it full.
And full would be
whatever.
Had to be more than 160.
I would imagine, yeah. I would imagine it'd be
about
more
250.
Probably something to that. But
that's probably not that far off. So, sorry, go ahead, finish.
So we end up calling around to find a charging station that's not Tesla, because middle of nowhere Pennsylvania has 30 Tesla chargers and only one actual.
When was this?
This is September.
Wow.
30 Tesla chargers, which this car does not accept the Tesla charge.
Right.
So we have one charger that will charge anything, and it's at the power company.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. It's the only place, and it's at this small, and when I say middle of nowhere, the only street lights are the ones that are shining on this building. And so this guy is like, just let's go home, let's get some sleep. We're talking probably 2-3 o'clock in the morning. None of us have slept. We've been up all night driving, getting to this guy's house anyway, waiting on Brad to get there so that we could, turn around and drive on to Connecticut. But yeah, he has to eventually end up calling for a tow. Has to have his EV towed to that terminal that's at the electric company.
Right.
Where he tries to hook it up. He hooks it up, nothing. He's trying to put his card in the slot. You have to call him because the terminal is locked.
Okay.
Because it's actually specifically for this electric company's
interesting
cars that they use.
Yeah.
So he's calling. He's like, "Hey, you guys are the only ones. I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere." And they're like, "All right, we'll turn it on, and you can get your charge. And here's how much it costs." I believe they ended up giving it to him for free because they couldn't get his card to go through. But they turned it on. He charged it all night long and still only got 30 minutes out of it.
No, come on.
This car
what's wrong with that car?
Yes, this car has been known for not charging and taking forever.
I'll say that is
charge
so far away from my experience.
Yeah, I know, and most people don't have that kind of experience, but
especially when you get to a commercial charger. So like I've charged at different stations just to experience it and see what that felt like. Jennifer and I drove the car up from Madison, and we did a whole Facebook thing about it where where we drove from Madison, and we started with 88 miles on it. By the time we got up to there's a little town not too far from Madison, but there's REMCs out there, and most of your REMCs have a couple of charging stations available for free.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
For free?
For free. So there's different apps you can get on your phone to find out where all these charging stations are. There are a lot of them that you're just not aware of.
Really?
So we go to that one, and then the next one is in Greensburg, and
And
it's
how long would it take you to charge each time you?
we would just stay for like that time we walked a mile, maybe
Oh,
2 miles, and came back. So it was about a half hour.
okay.
And when we got back, I had maybe another 20 miles on it.
Oh, okay.
So it's about a minute a mile.
Sure.
You know, so we get back in it and we drove up to Greensburg. We get to Greensburg and there was a charging station there that was free. It was at a business and it was on the back side, so you'd never see it unless you had that app,
Right,
and
yeah.
you knew it existed. Talking to the guy on the phone, because I called around, made sure I knew where everything was on the way up. He had told me that he had gotten that EV charger through a grant to where he could put that EV charger at his business, and he had to advertise that it's there, and that he couldn't charge anybody to use it because they were going to give it to him and install it.
Really?
So he got this grant to install this charger, and I've talked to a couple different people here in town, Dustin George and Jack Beckley, about getting an EV charger up at the Wheeler Plaza or Weiler Plaza,
Oh, yeah.
because it's a destination point for those who have an EV
Yeah.
that are traveling.
Sure. And then you're only 2 blocks off the highway.
Right. So you park there, and what are you going to do?
You're going to hang out around town and
Most people who have EVs are going to also support local businesses.
yeah.
It's just that is who's
Oh my
buying them.
goodness. Imagine the amount of local business that you could get that would thrive. I mean,
Dude, the guy had seen cars from California, from Maine,
yeah.
from Florida, and like it takes a picture of each car when it shows up
Yeah.
so he could see what was there. And he said the license plates I see here are just phenomenal.
That is
It
awesome.
blows me away who finds my charging station. So we stopped there. We went across the street to a Pizza King, had pizza, went back over, got in our car, had another 60 miles of charge on it,
Let's go.
drove past two more chargers. We drove to Rushville, actually. Drove to Rushville, plugged in there because it was a pay station. So it was the first one we had went to that was a pay station. Wanted to experience a pay station. Stopped, went to a bunch of local businesses, did some shopping, came back, took some pictures in front of this big thing they had out there, got in our car and drove to Muncie.
So, what was the rates for the pay?
If I remember right, we might have paid like $12 there for probably 30 miles.
So 12, 30, you're looking, geez, you're looking at $2 a mile? That ain't right.
It was probably $1.50 a mile or something.
Yeah. Okay.
If that. I don't even think it was that.
That's
I would
not
have
bad.
to go back and look at it.
Sure.
I mean, because that becomes very ridiculous when you're thinking about it's like $1 a minute or something. I can't remember. The one over in Gas City I used one day, I forgot to charge my car. So I was driving back and forth to Oak Hill, and I had charged, but I also had a charger over at work.
Yeah.
So I would pull up by the maintenance barn back behind the junior high, and I'd plug my car in.
That's free.
A perk, you know? So I would
There you
charge
go.
there, which it worked out great. The amount of money I saved driving that car back and forth, to Oak Hill
Oh, I'm sure.
every day for 180 days.
I mean, I spend $60 plus
Right.
per week
Easily.
to
in your
drive
little car.
500 miles a week.
My truck costs me at least $100 a week.
Yeah.
At least.
Right.
And I try and minimize my travel time right now and where I go. I'm very strategic
Right.
about
And you
how I
do a
drive.
lot of driving.
I do. Yeah, today I was in Warsaw, Wabash, Huntington, Marion, and back home. Yeah.
So you're looking at every bit of 100 miles.
Easily.
Yeah.
And so if I had a Tesla,
Yeah.
I'd just come home and charge.
And you wouldn't even have to.
Right,
'cause
I wouldn't have
Tesla gets you.
It's about 300,
I thought it was 250 to maybe
Yeah.
300.
depending on
Depending
I'm
on
looking
which
at the
battery pack
extended
you buy.
range is what I keep looking at.
Yeah.
Jennifer has had very bad range anxiety. That's what they call it when your buddy was
When
like,
you're about to run out of fuel.
I mean, I drove it down to 8 miles one time.
Yeah.
So by the time I pulled in. So in the wintertime, it's going to use more energy
Sure. You got to
because
run the heat.
you got a heater that's run off that battery pack.
Right.
But
Because you don't have an engine block that
correct.
heats up water or antifreeze.
So to compensate for that, they have heated seats.
Yeah.
So I would run my heated seats that run off the 12 volt. They don't run off my main battery pack.
Right.
And then every once in a while, I'd kick on my heat. And then I'd turn the heat back off and I'd drive for a while. So it is an inconvenience of sorts. But if I'm trying to save gas money, if I'm trying to save this, trying to
Yeah.
save that, you're going to drive a smaller car.
Yeah.
You know, you think when you start really knocking it down logically,
Yeah.
it's not that far off of,
A fuel.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I ask, are you a Pepsi or Coke guy?
Sure.
Because if we stop looking at it as green
Yeah. And
and
just look at it as efficiency.
as another and just another option.
See, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Like I say, I would love to have. I loved that little car. The only problem with that little car is it would never work for me
no, not
because I drive 100 miles a day.
and that's why I sold it.
Right.
Because it wasn't going to work for what I do now.
No,
But
driving you back and forth to Oak Hill
we
was
really
fine.
enjoyed that car. It was a
Yeah.
fun car to drive.
Why not?
Dude, it was a fun car to drive. It was
I'm all-
clean.
I'm all for it for that aspect, and that's why I've tried to. I mean, I've tried to convince my wife to let me buy a $40,000 used
I
Tesla.
saw one the other day. I'm looking at them for anything under like 60,000 miles.
Yeah,
And they're going for like 23, 25
are they
grand.
really?
Yeah. For anything
that's
from
not
a
bad.
19 to a 21,
No
you
kidding.
can find them for 20, 25 grand.
Okay, now you got me back into it.
Just go on car
The
Gurus
last
and
time I
find
looked
that out.
at them, man, they were
Same.
40,000
I
for.
think what's happened is you've got the market is starting to saturate.
Yeah,
You're seeing more of them out there, and now they've
which
actually
means the price of a new one's probably come down
it's
as well.
dropped too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of my Marine Corps friends, his wife just bought a Plaid,
Yeah.
which she sells real estate,
God.
in Massachusetts, in New England, and we're not just talking, your typical $250,000 home.
Right.
We're talking $1 million,
Right.
$850,000 homes. So
Is your
she makes
typical home.
really good money doing that. And then John Velasquez, who actually is the guy that I went to school with over in Marion, who lives here in Blackford County now, out by Lake Placid. He has solar panels and bought a Tesla.
Man, I'm really interested in solar panels too. I can't have them out here. That's part of the HOA.
Can't put them on your roof? Really?
Which is something that I think is really interesting. Can we talk about that for a second? Because you see a lot of the no solar on farm ground things going on right now, which I totally get.
Yeah.
My problem is, number one, if I'm a landowner,
That's my land. I'll
my
do what I
land.
want. Yeah.
that's my land.
Yeah.
And
So by the time you're putting up those signs, it's already a done deal.
yeah,
Because like I said,
it's
I
over.
specifically know a farmer that lives on the north side of the county that he's already signed on to it. He told,
Yeah.
I think it's the electric company, AEP, they came to him like last year and asked him if they could use, and he is going to make very good money off of just a little small section.
Leasing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets paid, I don't know if he gets paid yearly for it or what, but yeah, he's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's already done by the
it's
time.
already happened.
Yeah. By the time you find out that it's going on, it's already done and they've
All-
got what they want.
All I can think about is when people start talking about this is Disney, and Universal, Disney World down in
Yeah.
Florida, how they came in under a different LLC and started buying up land under different LLCs. And by the time people realized what had happened, it was Disney. And they're like, "Oh, I'm going to raise my price." Sorry,
late.
dude. It's
You're
too
done.
late.
Yeah. You got.
You got got.
Speaking of, do you know who owns Disney? Do you know who owns the land that Disney is on? Great Britain.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Great
I
Britain.
did
So
not know that.
Queen Elizabeth actually secured that land.
After Like after Disney had
After
bought
Disney,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
Disney bought it, and then
Hmm.
I want to say it was in the 90s. Queen Elizabeth secured the purchase of it,
That's interesting.
which is funny. And the only reason I know this is because Ron DeSantis tried to say that he was going to start charging because Disney does not pay taxes to America. And he was like, no, all right, if that's the way you want to be, because they're all
Right.
woke or whatever. And Great Britain sent him a letter and said, you can try, but you don't own the land. We do. And that's why you don't hear anything more about it.
Huh. Interesting. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to read up on that.
Yeah.
That's
it
a
was
rabbit
cool.
hole thing.
I seen that. I was like, no, what? How?
That is
But
a
yeah,
rabbit hole.
yeah. The Great Britain owns the land that Disney is on.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
You've heard a lot recently about China buying property in America.
Yeah.
And
Well, Arkansas stopped that.
yeah, and other states are working on that as well.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest foreign owner of land in America? Do you know?
No.
Take a guess.
That's a weird one because I would have thought it was China.
Not even close.
Really?
It's not even close. They're so far down on the list.
Really?
Yeah.
So is it a friendly country?
Yeah.
Would it be Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They own more ground, like Canadian owned ground in America than anybody else, and like 20 of them combined.
Really?
Yeah. I had to look it up because
Yeah. That's
when I
interesting.
start seeing things and people getting upset and, raising a stink, I have to go down stinking rabbit holes.
I used to be that way.
I can't help myself.
I used to be that way. Now, that's why I don't do Facebook
I
anymore.
know. I should stop. I don't post about it anymore.
I do post on Facebook, but I usually don't read the comment. I did read the last one I messaged, which I'd love to talk about.
What?
You never seen it?
I don't know.
I didn't see. I didn't think I seen you like it.
What was it?
Yeah, I posted a big long book about Blackford youth baseball.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I'm sure I hit the like button on
yeah,
that.
you didn't.
I didn't?
No,
You were looking for me?
yeah.
You were that
Of the
petty?
64 people that liked it, you weren't one of them.
Son of a gun.
I'm just kidding. I
read-
don't know if you were.
I
or
read
not.
through the whole thing. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to get more kids.
Absolutely.
We got to. We got to get them down there.
Yeah. I ran into an old friend, someone I have a ton of respect for, and we were talking about travel baseball, travel softball. And I'm someone who, my kid played travel softball, and
Yeah.
I feel like Addison got a lot from it. When I ask her, is this something you're glad you did, or if you look back on it now, she's like, no, I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
I got so much from it, and
Not
not
more than just softball
it
or
so
baseball.
is her, and I don't want to put words in her mouth either, but as a dad, just watching her experience from the kid who couldn't, like, really struggled as a 9-year-old playing the game, she couldn't hit the ball as a 9-year-old to
Right.
a kid who is
Smashing the ball.
yeah, and having a couple, I think she had 4 or 5 home runs in her
Yeah.
high school career, and just had a nice softball experience. Wasn't great,
Right.
but she was a really good player and really enjoyed the game and loved it, and it loved her back.
She also played league ball.
She did. She
Even
played.
though it probably wasn't all that great.
It
The
wasn't.
competition isn't great.
No, but it gave her a chance to play a different role
Yes.
as playing on a league team. So she played league, she played Tri-County, and she played travel.
Yeah.
And she did that for a few years, and that was just part of our expectation was that
Right.
she was going to continue to play those things. And a lot of the girls she played with around that time were all still playing
Yes.
all of those different things, and it was a way for them to experience different opportunities of the game.
Right.
Because you're right, it's more than a game. It's certainly the experience that comes along with it, and those relationships that you build as you're going through. We talked about playing in fall ball and
Right,
just
yeah.
how fun that was.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
boy, you don't experience that if all you're playing is travel.
Yeah. No, you don't.
You don't get to meet some of those kids and You don't get to play in that environment where you get to watch someone struggle. You know,
Right.
typically on a travel ball team, you got 12 kids that can get after it,
That can, yes, exactly.
and you're competing for a spot all the time.
League is where you have fun. And,
It's so
you know,
much fun.
I'm sitting out there umpiring, and I'm umpiring the championship game, which is, you know,
That matters.
yeah, that's the one.
Oh man, there's a lot of community pride in that. I could hear it. We were on a bike ride last night, and I could hear it going on down at the softball diamond.
Yes,
They
yes.
were going bananas down there.
Right? Yeah.
I so wanted to ride my bike up there and see what was happening.
Yeah. But it's the same thing at the Little League. I mean, it's
I'm
that's the
sure
one
I
that
can
matters.
hear it. I can
But-
hear it going nuts through
but-
the woods.
Yeah, but it was fun because, you know, these are kids who they all go to school together. So, you know, the winner gets to talk trash about the loser.
For a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the time, I mean, we're out of school.
Yeah.
So, you know, the only time they get to see each other now is out on the
Yeah,
baseball field.
absolutely.
And I remember this kid. So the better team, not the winning team, but the better team, the one that had the bye
Uh-huh.
to get to the championship game, because there's only 3 teams down there. But they're pitching this kid who is throwing heat, and he is throwing strikes. And I mean, he is doing phenomenal. The score is 1-0 going into the 4th or the 5th inning. And that team is winning by 1 run.
Wow.
And even at that, the kids, when they did get on base, were sitting there talking to their opposing team like they were best friends, and it was just a backyard wiffle ball game.
How were the parents?
The parents are fine.
They weren't going to. They weren't.
I mean, they're obviously they're cheering,
Yeah.
they're having a good time. And I actually remember, because the ace pitcher was on the mound, and this kid, he didn't. You could tell he probably didn't hit the ball very much.
Sure.
He's down at the bottom of the lineup.
Yep.
But you can hear a woman behind me going, "Hey, he's no different than you. You can hit this ball. Swing the bat." You know, just encouraging words, basically trying to get this kid to not jump out of the box when this really fast ball comes by. And you see the pitcher, he kind of gives a little, okay, and commences to throw a high and inside pitch that makes the kid jump out of the box.
Uh-huh.
And then the next pitch, he comes up, throws one right down the middle, and strikes the kid out. But that kid ended up getting a hit in the next inning and the
Okay.
inning after. So, but anyway, but these kids are out here,
Man, I love it.
the catcher joking around, you know, hey, you know, you're about to get struck out, and, you know, talking to the batters. And then, you know, the pitcher, the new pitchers, because that kid got pulled out and they put a new pitcher in, and he's talking to the opposing team as they're, you know, full count, and he's talking to them, it doesn't matter to me, and, you know, commences to throwing 3 straight balls or whatever. I mean, you know, that's the kind of stuff that kids want to see. Travel ball, you don't get that.
Yeah.
Travel ball, when you go there, it's all business.
Yeah.
Then you don't get to have fun.
There's. Yeah. It's
You're
not
there with a
camaraderie
mission.
that way.
Yeah, you're there on a mission.